Millions of Americans living paycheck to paycheck.
Jeremy Doemel here, mover and a shaker. Man living with the truth of trauma. My clean date is March 1st, 2020. In the midst of a global pandemic, a man with no spleen, compromised immune system, and a man with 30 years of roaring drug and alcohol.
Rooting for public officials who are striving mightily to step into the breach of this crisis.
I see you, and you see me, and we see everything that we want to see. A perfect mind, a simple flaw. With the knowledge, we'll feel better, brush it off.
That was really hard for me to stop, you know, all those learned behaviors. As an addict, it's hard. It's hard. You have tough times, and I'm an addict, and I know that this recovery of addiction can really work for you. But it works as long as I take those measures on myself to do the things to protect myself, and so I can be the person, the man I want to be. And I feel for every other addict that's out there right now. It's really hard, I know. But if you're struggling, please, you know, right now it's not a great time for me. But that's okay. Ask for help, though, please. And even though you slip, or you slip up or something, you get back up. You keep going. You know, you believe in yourself because you can do this. You know, you're good. You know who you are, and that's just it. So anybody else, please don't send me messages and ask me anything foolish, because I'll have to block you, you know. I just want to tell you guys that 70 days clean, man. That's what I got. 70 days clean, man. Song called Newborn. It's about recovery and redemption. Sick of feeling bad for myself. Sick of worrying about my poor health. Sick of reminiscing about glory days. If I don't have more good days coming, what's the point of pissing and moaning? In 2020?
Yeah, March 1st.
March 1st, like it had led up to that. I was in a I was in a hotel room with a escort, a friend of mine, like for real. You know, and I was smoking crack. I was smoking crack earlier that day. It was a guy that I had been to a sober living house with, you know, like I had done, you know, and it was just breaking down. It was like I was really struggling. And at that point, I was still messing with heroin. I was messing with methamphetamine and still using intravenous, and I remember trying to suck down as much Suboxone as I could to try to get off it. It never worked. I just ended up enjoying Suboxone and doing Suboxone and mixing that in with my regimen of poison every day. So, and I laid off that, and I remember standing up at a recovery going like, I smoked crack, and I was in a hotel room. I was like, you know, and we just held each other and cried all night and talked about trauma. But that wasn't the truth, you know. But and that truth is, man, like we did talk about trauma a lot. Talked about her, you know, being, you know, sold and hearing terms like gorilla for the first time, and like, you know, it's like a pimp, you know, and it's like, it's just hellfire. And we did talk all night, all morning, you know, like her heart's in the right place, and so was mine. So like the sex didn't come into it, but it was like, man, I never had a heart-to-heart like I did with her that night. And but at the same time, we were doing drugs. You know, I was smoking crack. I did meth that night. You know, like, you know, and we enabled each other and shit and did all sorts of. But it was a big shift for me. And then I went to that recovery meeting the next day, and then I remember going to a chili cook-off like a few days later. And it was 300 people at this chili cook-off for AA, and all right, anybody with less than 24 hours, you know, sit down. Everybody stand up, and then now everyone less than 24 hours, sit down. And I was like the only dude in the room to sit down. 300 people. I felt like this big, you know, like everybody was like 9 feet tall, looking up at all these people. And then as it went down, it came down to the last dude standing in 57 years or something like that. It happened to a guy I went to a sober living house for men at. And, road of do's and don'ts that made him a man.